Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated Legacy action. Today we finally get our hands on some Duskmourn cards and we're doing something incredibly silly. So one of the first cards that was spawned from Duskmourn was Screaming Nemesis. This is a 3 mana 3/3 with haste. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any other target. If a player dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. So there are effects like this in Magic's past, but now is there a critical mass of them to do something very silly with them? My plan is, hopefully, yes. So what we're doing is we're pairing this with Boros Reckoner, which does the same sort of thing, pretty much. We also have Ill-Lonered Temper, which does the same sort of thing. However, when it flips, whenever a permanent you control is dealt damage, it deals that much damage. So we can deal a load of damage to creatures, and this will trigger on every single creature. So that's a kind of interesting one here. And then we also have a couple of Wrathful Red Dragons, which is a 5/5 flyer with the same sort of text on it. So we're using our Marauding Raptor. We're definitely in the source here today. We're using this Marauding Raptor. This makes our 4 drops cheaper, so we can curve Marauding Raptor into Ill-Tempered Loner. And then this will give a nice little 2 damage burst to that creature as well as making it cheaper. And then that 2 damage gets pinged off and we get to do board control or kill or do damage to our opponent's face, that sort of jam. So that's what we're trying to do. And we're pairing this with a bunch of interesting sweepers here. So first up, we have Cave In. This is a 5 mana sorcery. It deals 2 damage to each creature and each player. So trying to get our opponent low is an important thing, and we're trying to maximize that as much as we can. You can exile a red card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. So what we want to do is make a couple of these guys, and then if we cave in, all of a sudden our opponents take in 2 for each creature we have, as well as a 2 to their face. And that's pretty good, especially if we're going to be wrathing some of their little creatures out of the way. Then we have Fiery Confluence. This is a flexible card that we can use to ping our creatures for 1 damage each. We can also destroy some artifacts. That's a nice little bit of utility there. And we also can just aim it straight at our opponent's dome for 6 damage if we want to as well. Because we're kind of a burn deck, but just in an unconventional fashion. We're trying to burn our opponent, but we're trying to go through creatures to do it. Next up, we have our version of Fable the Mirror Breaker for this deck. So this is a 4 mana saga. It has read ahead, so we can choose which chapter to start with. But the first chapter on this one is the important one for us, really. Elder Dragon War deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. So this is kind of just like a cave-in, where we get to deal a load of damage to our creatures, ping all their stuff and their face and all that jazz. Then the second one is discard any number of cards and draw that many cards. So it's kind of like the Fables second mode, except this time we're getting as many cards as we want, which is kind of cool. And then number 3 is we get a 4/4 dragon. So, reasonable. The last one we have is a little bit less reasonable. This is Blasphemous Act. So this is a 9 mana spell that deals 13 damage to each creature. So if we have 2 creatures in play, we get to kill our opponent with this. The downside of this is that it costs 9 mana. It does get reduced by 1 for each creature on the battlefield, so we can make it a little bit cheaper, but we can't really rely on our opponent necessarily to do that. But we just got 1 in there because I'd like to see it happen. I don't think it will, but it's a thing we can do. It also imprints to Chrome Mox. Speaking of Chrome Mox, we are using our Chrome Mox and Simian Spirit Guide to power out this stuff. We also have ourselves some Blood Moons, which is just the best prism piece for the colours we're in for what we're doing here, so we can just jam that. We've got 8 of our double-faced lands, so these can imprint on Chrome Mox, and once we have a Blood Moon, they come in without damage anyway. And they, like Shatterskull Smashing, we can deal this damage to creatures that we control, and then it deals it to our opponent's face. So that's an interesting line that might come up, especially since the fact if X is 6, then you get to double it. So if we spend 8 mana on this, we get 12 damage. So that's not bad. Obviously quite expensive, but it's a useful thing that's mostly going to be a land, but can sometimes actually work with what our deck's doing. And Sundering Eruption is just a thing that makes our creatures able to attack. Because, you know, we do have power and toughness on our creatures. We can just attack our opponent. We've also got some Ancient Tombs. They can help us power out the Moons, the Screaming Nemesis, the Ill-Tempered Loners. They do not help with the Boros Reckoner, but that's okay. Sideboard-wise, we've got 1 Eldrazi to help against Painter matchups. I chose Kozilek because we might be able to cast it at some point. I see a lot of decks run Emrakul, but why not run the Kozilek? Because you might be able to cast it. Then we've got 4 Blasts because there's a bunch of blue stuff we need to deal with. Some Vexing Baubles for some of these combo decks that are low to the ground. And we got ourselves some Faerie Macabre Graveyard Hate and some Dead and Gones to bounce some critters. That is the list. Is this going to be the best deck we've ever played on the channel? No. I'm hoping it's not going to be the worst. But what I will say is it's going to be a fun one. So we're basically just playing with the first card that was spoiled from Duskmourn as our introduction to the set, and I hope you enjoy this one. Please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of the Duskmourn content that is coming on this channel. Let's go. So what does our hand do? It makes a turn 1 Blood Moon, and then we can work out what the rest of the game looks like from there. I think that's acceptable. We've got something to clean up some creatures if they make it into play. Just can't clean up something like a Tamiyo though. A Mishra's Bauble. There's quite a few different varieties of Mishra's Bauble deck out there. Let's see which one this is. Bloodstained Mire. So we don't want the card that was on top. Mountain. There's some kind of... Oh, Riftbolt. Okay, we're doing Burnie type stuff, are we? Okay, that means I'm probably not going to play this Blood Moon. Okay, so we're hoping to draw some land and work towards the Elder Dragon War. And we're probably going to just go straight to the second mode and bin off a load of cards that don't do anything. What is this going to be? Another Riftbolt. Sure. And another Bauble. So our opponent's probably running the bird that has like double prowess pretty much for... Well, it is +2/+0, I think, for each non-creature spell you cast in a turn. Okay, I don't really want to play this Blood Moon, so I think we're just going to play a Mountain out and pass. Our spells are sorcery speed, so if they play the hasty bird creature, it's just going to get us. This might be a tricky one. Mishra's Bauble, taking a look. They're probably going to see some wild stuff over there. So we could just go and get a 4/4 Dragon. All right, a Chain Lightning. If I pay to send it back at our opponent, they pay to send it back at us again, and that's not worth it for us. All right, opponent. Shatterskull Smashing. Let's cast the Elder Dragon War. I think we're going to read ahead, like I said, to go to the second chapter. I don't think we're going to win this particular game. We need to come out of the gates a little quicker here. Opponent's burn spell's not going to be great here, though. All right, so we're going to discard some cards. Get rid of this one, this one. So we can just 6 and 6 to 12 our opponent. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So that's not going to be quite enough. Guess we get rid of a Cave In. Maybe one Fiery Confluence. No, we'll keep the Cave In, because that might allow us to do a bit more. Okay, okay. We got some guys. So we're going to get a 4/4 next turn. Price of Progress. That deals us 2. We're down to 7. There's not a Riftbolt this turn, because that was the previous 2 turns. Exquisite Firecraft. That puts us dead to Lightning Bolt. Fireblast will also do the job. Okay. We got burned out. What are we supposed to do to deal with this? So, Vexing Bauble is an interesting one, because Vexing Bauble stops Fireblast, and it also stops Riftbolt. So that can be potentially useful here. What do we have here that I actually like, is a better question. Fiery Confluence is fine. Probably not where I want to be. I guess the Blood Moon's coming in for the Vexing Bauble, going out for the Vexing Bauble was probably all we're doing here. We could have some Dead and Gones, just so we can deal with their guy at instant speed if they've got the little guy. So I think that's probably going to be better than a Blasphemous Act. I like the Cave-ins. I guess we're probably cutting some of these 5-drops. They're probably a little bit difficult to cast. This just gives us a way to interact with the bird at instant speed. Let's try that. This is going to be a difficult one. We're trying to set up a little bit and our opponent's just trying to get us dead. What does this do? This is land. Chrome Mox. This is Screaming Nemesis on turn 1. Alright. Or we could play the Marauding Raptor on turn 1. It's an interesting choice here. So we're playing this, and we are paying the life, I think. Good. Chrome Mox here. I think we imprint... I think it's the Elder Dragon War. And I like getting the dinosaur up and running here. The next turn we have the Screaming Nemesis. Maybe we could have done that with the Spirit Guide instead of the land, and just have the land come into play tapped. Right, Mountain. Chain Lightning. That is damage that's not going to our face. Screaming Nemesis time. Let's go. Okay, so our opponent can't gain life anymore. But I don't believe that was any part of our opponent's plan. If they plot the bird, then we can drop the bauble, and that's going to be pretty good. Alright, they're just playing it. Sure. This will ping for 1. If we find a land, we can play the Reckoner. A Dead Gone. Let's play out this Vexing Bauble. It just makes things like Fireblast a lot worse. We're going for our Screaming Nemesis. Just dome them for 4. So our opponent doesn't have any lands now. They might have a string of like baubles and stuff. So we want our opponent to play these out, and then we can try and... Well, they can play the baubles. They will get countered by the R bauble, but it will still pump their Slick Shot. A Grim Lavamancer. Is that more worrying to me than the Slick Shot? I don't think it is. Let's just dead this now. I'd like to find a land. It's kind of like a land, isn't it? Here comes the Reckoner. It does have an ability that gives it first strike as well, which is not really going to be relevant here. Yeah, our opponent has cottoned on to the fact that we are in Spice Town over here. Slick shot show off. Sure. So we draw Cave in, cycle Bauble into another red card, win game. That's what that'll feel like. What a weird game we have locked ourselves into here. I will... I don't know if I'm cracking this or not. We attack for 3. I don't really want to play this Ancient Tomb out while our opponent has access to Price of Progress in their deck. I don't think we need to crack this Bauble. The race is okay for us so far. Lava Spike. Sure. This is 3 or 4 damage. It's probably going to be... Alright, they're getting in with the Lavamancer rather than activating it. That's interesting to me. I think you probably keep it back. Alright. Oh. Okay, our opponent's coming in with attacks here. This is 4. It's a 3-turn clock. Eidolon of the Great Revel. Sure. Alright, I'm going to sacrifice this Bauble now. It wasn't a red card or a cave-in. Marauding Raptor. So this will ping us for 2 if we play it. But I think we get in with a Reckoner. Which will hurt us for 2, but it'll get us the creature that can block this Eidolon, so it should be relatively neutral. Haven't quite been able to do our thing here. Just the one you're getting in for? Chrome Mox, that's not really the one. So we send this in, it's not lethal. So they hit us for 2 here, that puts us down to 3. Then they bash for 1 and hit us for 2. So we are dead on the next turn, so we do need to attack with everything here and hope our opponent makes a mistake. Our opponent should just take this. Alright, they're getting the Lavamancer going. I guess this is kind of much of a muchness because they can just throw the Eidolon at us. But we do get the ping off of the Reckoner here. 2 damage to us. Sure. Only got 1 damage to ping here. Yeah, and our opponent just has lethal damage if they turn their creatures sideways. Which I'm pretty sure they're going to do. We just bottomed out and just drew nothing but lands at the end there. A Lava Spike. That puts our opponent to 1. Puts us into the dirt. Unfortunately, we didn't win that match. This was pretty close, though. I think we're both playing decks that aren't necessarily up to the full standards of Legacy power level. So it was kind of a bit of back and forth there. But if we'd have drawn like some spells here, like we had a sequence where if we find the cave-in, we just win. Like cave-in plus red card is lights out there. All right, let's go to round 2 and see if we get to do our thing. Hopefully someone will play lots of mana dorks for us. All right, we're into round 2. Let's have a look at our opener. This is slow. We don't do anything until turn 3. I think we can mulligan for something better here. There's no lands at all. Well, that's not true. We have this land, but that's not going to make it work for us. Let's go lower. Where is the mana in our deck? This is a question I am asking here. Am I going to 4? If I play this, I need to draw exactly Ancient 2. Meshing that doesn't even work. I need to draw red for that. Am I going to 4? Maybe I'm going to 4 here. Okay, this is the best one so far. So we've got some lands here. I don't think we want this 4-drop. Do we want this Marauding Raptor? I think we want all of the lands and the Blood Moon. So that means we don't have any other choice here. Okay, let's play this tapped. If our opponent wastelands this, we do have another one. And hopefully this Blood Moon, we can just stick this and it'll be enough. A Cabal Therapy our opponent has played. What are they going to name? Is it going to be Blood Moon? Goblin Charbelcher. All right. I don't particularly like a hand that's just doing Blood Moon things. But that's what we were given because of our mulligans. Our opponent didn't get to see our cave-in. So now we're not taking damage for Ancient Tomb. We have a 3rd land we can drop with Shatterskull Smashing. We don't care about Wastelands, although Felmire is normally not a deck that's going to be running Wastelands. Soporific Springs. This could be some kind of blue, black, oops, or spells list. So they might just be able to crack this for black, make a Dark Ritual and get us. Undercity Informer. Do you have the mana for this, opponent? Simian Spirit Guide, perhaps? No. Okay, Cave-in's going to do some work, I guess. Yeah, things are lining up in a peculiar fashion today. We'll play this. We will cast a Cave-in. Oh, that doesn't work because this has got 3 toughness. Whoops. And then they're just going to get us with the thing next turn. All right. So, Vexing Bauble looks very good here. Other bits and pieces like the Faerie Macabre also good. Blasphemous Act can get out of here. Our expensive card can get out of here. The Cave-in is something I would like to do. I think the Blood Moon is still fine here. Let's move our lands over here so it doesn't look quite as empty. The Elder Dragon is a little bit expensive, but it does help us loot. So maybe we'll take one of those out. Fiery Confluence. I think the Elder Dragon is better because it lets us loot. Okay, we'll try something along these lines. Like our opponent's going to be on the draw, so we can Chrome Mox, Vexing Bauble. I guess we'll take that. It is a weird hand, for sure. Chrome Mox. Imprint this Blood Moon. I think we'll keep our threat this time. Chrome Mox. Imprint this Reckoner. We'll play a Bauble. And we'll play another Bauble. We draw a land, we can start crashing with the Nemesis. If we draw something that isn't a land, we can crack one of the Baubles because we still have one. Although, do we want double protection? Because we know our opponent's got the bounce spell, Soporific Springs. They probably have some other bounce spells they've boarded in. I think this blue-black version of Oops All Spells looks better than the other builds, in my opinion. It's just not as all-in with the Summoner's Pact, but it can still turn one people. A hard-cast Narcomoeba. Okay. Come on, Screaming Nemesis. Okay, they're pitching another Spirit Guide to get a Jack-O-Lantern. Let's get the beats going with our Screaming Nemesis. I don't think this is going to be the game where we really get to do the thing, which is a shame. But maybe there'll be a game where we do. Alright, we're certainly winning the damage race. Our opponent can win through these baubles, but it requires them to have the Thassa's Oracle in hand. And they can just exile their whole deck and then play the Thassa's Oracle. Or sorry, mill their whole deck and then play the Thassa's Oracle with a hard cast. Alternatively, they can mill their whole deck and then cast a Memory's Journey to put the Thassa's Oracle on top. That's probably the easiest route, but getting the mana to do everything is going to be difficult. Alright, they're just cycling the Lantern. If you're unfamiliar with Lantern, you can also pay one and exile it to get one mana of any colour. So you can use that to filter. Soporific Springs, tapped or untapped opponent, untapped. So these decks do actually run some cantrips, I think. They have a Preordain and a Ponder, I believe. I'll try and play this on the channel at some point. Alright, let's keep going. So this could be like a Chain of Vapor style card, so I don't want to get rid of one of our Vexing Baubles whilst they have the Soporific Springs. Because maybe they can bounce it and go off the next turn. Alright, Screaming Nemesis, let's go. 3 more damages. Let's get that Marauding Raptor in. Part of the problem is, on the draw, this is going to be a difficult matchup to win. Because our opponent's going to know what we're about now and just mulligan to a turn 1 hand. And we're going to have to hopefully draw some Faerie Macabres. Yep, the Narcomoeba is back on blocks. Whichever creature they block, it will save 2 damage. Ill-Tempered Loner. Not quite a card we can cast, unfortunately. Alright, let's send in the clowns. Echoing Truth is also a card that we can beat, because if they Echoing Truth our bauble, we sack it and it fizzles the spell. Sink into Stupor. Alright, they're going to save some damage here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage if we cast this next turn. If we cast it now, we go shields down on beating an Echoing Truth. Do I want to play around Echoing Truth or not? Like, I think that's how we lose. We lose this game if we lose our baubles. So I think we just have to say no to that one. Just a fair Thassa's Oracle. That's not where our opponent wants to be, is it? It doesn't actually tell us if they put a card on top with this interface, which is interesting. Another Screaming Nemesis. So now we're not actually making inroads, so we probably do have to cast this now. If we attack into Thassa's Oracle, we trade off. So I'm just going to ping our opponent for 2 here. Alright, our opponent's just scooping it up. Okay, I just guess we do the same again and hope for the best. We could board in the Pyroblast because our opponent is doing more blue stuff. What would we be losing in order to do that? This is kind of like just a weird matchup where we're probably not doing any of our actual fun stuff that we want to be doing in this matchup. So maybe we just get rid of the cave-ins and just have some blasts. That's sad. That's very sad, but this is a very polarizing matchup. This does not have a Faerie Macabre in. I think I'm going to mulligan to find a Faerie Macabre. Okay. I'll keep this. Our opponent's on 5. So if they're going, then it might not be the worst for us. We don't really have a threat. But this particular matchup is so polarizing because you just need to not lose the game. Because they are playing the most consistent turn 1 deck. And it's pretty all in and doesn't do anything but the turn 1s. Sometimes it's turn 2 or whatever, but you know what I mean. Alright, let's hope that they have exactly enough resources to put their combo on a stack and the Faerie Macabre can blow them out. That is the plan here. Cabal Therapy. What are they going to name? Vexing Bauble, I would assume. If they're not going this turn. It's Chrome Mox. But now they've seen the Faerie Macabre, so it's going to be harder to get our opponent with it. But it might just be something that sits around and stops our opponent from being able to win the game for a while. Okay, I guess I'll play this tapped. Would love something like an Ancient Tomb off the top. Alright, they're playing a land untapped. It's less damage we have to deal, but it's kind of worrying. 3 mana. And a Spirit Guide. For a Balustrade Spy. Our opponent has no cards in hand and no mana floating. Am I missing something here? No cards. Okay, let's see how many Thassa's Oracles they have for a start. 1 Thassa's Oracle, 2 Thassa's Oracle, 3 Thassa's Oracle, 4 Thassa's Oracle. Okay, how many Dread Returns do they have is the next question. 1 Dread Return. Is it just the 1 Dread Return? If it's 1 Dread Return, then how many Jack-o'-lanterns? 2 Jack-o'-lanterns. Yeah, they've got some lines here, that's for sure. So, what are we trying to accomplish? Because there's a Memory's Journey in here somewhere, I'm sure of it. No? Am I being... Keep an eye on what's going on here. Echoing Truth. Singular Super. There's the Memory's Journey. So, we need to have 1 Memory's Journey. So, if we get rid of the 1 Dread Return and the 1 Memory's Journey, that should be enough here. Because they can't get the mana this turn from a Jack-o'-lantern. And if we get rid of the Memory's Journey, they can't do anything with a Jack-o'-lantern. And then they can't Dread Return unless I've missed a second one in here. But I looked pretty carefully. Couldn't see a second one. All right, our opponent agrees, and that's the match. So we're on the board. We're not doing an 0-5. Love it. Not necessarily our deck winning it, just our sideboard cards, but I'll take it. Let's go to round 3. All right, this is a turn 2 Blood Moon. We've got some cave-in action. Our deck can do its thing with this hand. Wasteland could be a massive problem for us. But we could also just draw a Simian Spirit Guide or whatever. Aether Vial. This could be like the Jeskai Vial we saw the other day. Could just be classic Merfolk. Well, let's find out. Okay, let's play this tapped. And hopefully we're going to be looking to jam a Screaming Nemesis or a Marauding Raptor here. It might be the Marauding Raptor just so that our Screaming Nemesis does more work. Because we can just use the ping off of it straight away to kill a creature. But we'll see what is up here with our opponent. Another island. Maybe we are on Merfolk. Silvergill Adept. Sure. Revealing a Tide Shaper. Which one is Tide Shaper? Target land becomes an island. No thank you. So, are we playing the Screaming Nemesis or the Marauding Raptor? I think it's the Marauding Raptor this turn. If our opponent's got days, we get to play around it. And then next turn we can follow up with the Screaming Nemesis to shoot something, and then we can also cave in to shoot some more things. The downside with doing that is we can lose our Screaming Nemesis to the cave-in. Alright, we're getting a Force of Will here. Excellent. Oh, and they got rid of the Tide Shaper. Okay, good. Because I didn't really want our land becoming an island. So their deck tends to want to put Merfolks into play on their turn off the Aether Vial so they can get the Lord damage and crash for more. Oh no, a Wasteland. Oh, they're tapping it. Oh no, that's a different problem. We do have the cave-in though. If we draw a basic mountain, that would be real good because we could just drop the mountain first. And then we could play the Screaming Nemesis. Because now if our opponent has a Lord in that Aether Vial, we're in trouble. Alright, let's try and kill your creatures. Putting in a Lord here is not going to help actually because the Lord will die and then these will die. Alright, go Gadget Screaming Nemesis. We're on board. Maybe. Alright. They didn't put anything in at end step either, so we are in a precarious position, but we have some really good removal in Cave-In where we can sweep a bunch of their things. And they're not really going to have a bunch of anything left soon. Another Wasteland. It's the Screaming Nemesis that could. Goodbye, Shatterskull Smashing. Goodbye, Ancient Tomb, I would assume. Just send me right into the Stone Age. Or they're going to give us a chance to draw a mountain. Right, we didn't draw it, so awkward. Let's bash. Oh dear. What are you going to have off your Aether Vial? Some sort of Lord? Merfolk of the Pearl Trident, sure. Got 2 cards in hand. Cavern of Souls. Unsurprisingly on Merfolk. There goes our Ancient Tomb. I believe our Screaming Nemesis plus this Cave-In can do enough to win the game for us here. Another Screaming Nemesis. Just keep bashing. Nothing off the vial. Like, if they've got Lords, they're going to be putting the Lords in on their turn to push damage. Our clock is better than theirs. It's a land. I am playing some lands in the deck. Maybe I should be playing more lands in the deck. That's why I'm getting the feeling here. Alright. So we have lethal with this Cave-In next turn. Because this Cave-In is good for 4 damage. As well as our Nemesis. I wonder if they've got the Stifling Merfolk. The 3 mana one. That could be good here. Right, in comes the Merfolk. We're a little ways off of the old Blasphemous Act. Let's bash. Let's get rid of this Blasphemous Act. Opponent has gone to 1 off this Force of Will. They have no cards in hand. We have a 3-3 in play. A 3-3 that cannot be blocked because the damage will just ping to their face. Alright, we're playing against a right peculiar selection of decks today. Spice attracts spice, I guess. What can they do for 1 mana? Dismember doesn't do our guy. If they've got like some sort of bounce spell, that would obviously be annoying. Or like a tapping Merfolk. Our deck full of sweepers feels pretty good against our opponent's aggro deck though. Our opponent thought for a while. And they're attacking with the Merfolk. Mockingbird. So they have a Screaming Nemesis. Okay, but ours deals enough damage here, right? So if they block, they get to deal us 3 damage. But we get to deal them 3 damage. Alright, I think we've just got a game. Okay, sideboard. Pyroblasts, these look great. The Dead and Gones, they're probably fine too. How do I feel about Vexing Bauble? I don't think I want that. I just want more stuff to blow our opponent's creatures up. So the Blood Moons become Pyroblasts. That's easy enough. Do I think I'm realistically going to be able to play this Blasphemous Act? Probably not. That gives us 1 of these. Fiery Confluence is good, but is expensive. I like the Elder Dragon War a little bit more than the Fiery Confluence here, actually. So let's put in these over the other, what do you call it? It's the Fiery Confluences. So you just got some cheap interaction. Like, there is an argument for Vexing Bauble because it stops their counter magic. But I think we just have more things that actually do the thing we want to happen. It's all well and good stopping their counter magic, but if that card could have been a removal spell for one of their Merfolks, that's just going to be better. Removal spell, sweeper. Yeah. Count me in. No Ether Vial. Sure. We also have Mountains, so we're not going to be getting Harbinger of the Seized or Wastelanded out of this one. I'm going to save the Sundering Eruption for when we need it, because it is wastelandable. I just don't want to give our opponent a free ride there. I guess we could play it out now. Okay, we've drawn a land. Alright, I will play this one now. And hold up a Pyroblast if we want one, and then next turn we can play a Screaming Nemesis, holding up Pyroblast or Dead Gone. Some sort of guy. Sure, you can have some sort of guy. So this sacrifices to counter a spell. The spell we're likely to be playing is one that kills us anyway. Say no to this one. Alright. 3 mana, True Name Nemesis. Yeah, that's kind of annoying, isn't it? You could have just held up our Pyroblast for that. But I think we can race that without too much issue here. Okay, let's get Nemesis on the go. We just want to go Nemesis, 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 Elder Dragon War, and live the dream. I'm not attacking into this one. If we save our Pyroblast, they just sacrifice their Hexcatcher to counter this anyway. We can also get a flying 4/4 off of this. Merfolk of the Pearl Trident. Let's say counter target spell if it's blue, please. They could have Hydroblast of their own to fight back. Or not, sure. Or they might be saving a Hydroblast to kill our Screaming Nemesis. A Wasteland, sure. We'd probably lose the Ancient Tomb. Alright, we're just getting to play our lands and spells here. I'm going to save the life because this could end up being a race. What does this do? Enters... I've never seen this card. Enters, tap target creature an opponent controls, put a stun counter on it. Okay, and you can tap and shuffle itself. Okay, that's something I suppose. It has Vigilance. Let's get in with our boy. So next turn we can Screaming Nemesis and get ready to Elder Dragon War our opponent right into the dirt, hopefully. Merfolk of the Pearl Trident. That's not bad. Maybe we have to Elder Dragon War next turn instead. Soporific Springs, tapped or untapped? Untapped. We got another Lord. Lord of Atlantis. Sure. Now we get to clean up a lot of their board, but we're going to take a big hit here. Sure. Our opponent has no cards in hand, so we know our Chrome Mox and Elder Dragon, our Chrome Mox and Elder Dragon War will resolve. Right, so we're taking 9 here. Yikes. A cave in. I don't think we want to cave in here, do we? What does that actually do for us? If we play the Screaming Nemesis and then cave in, we deal 2, 4, 6 to our opponent. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But we have to ping one of these lords if we do that. And that puts us to 4. So we'll be dead to any guy off the top. That doesn't seem ideal. I have 3 guys. We attack for 6. So that's our opponent taking 8. So they'll be on 6 at that point. And we take them to 4. Yeah, they have a lot of lords in their deck. So I think the correct play here is to do the Elder Dragon War here. What are we imprinting though? We could imprint the Nemesis and hold back the cave-in just as another sweeper and some direct damage. No, I think it is the cave-in here. Let's get this Elder Dragon War going. 2 damage to each creature. This will give us 2 triggers with our Screaming Nemesis. So the first one can target this Lord of Atlantis. The second one can target our opponent's face. That wraps their board quite handily. We bash for 3. So we have lethal with the Screaming Nemesis if our opponent attacks. If they block, we also have lethal. How do you want to play this one, opponent? They're attacking. Well, they're thinking about it. They're going for it. The race is on. I will discard this Marauding Raptor. Playing around any sort of soft permission here. Alright, we got a second match. Double Screaming Nemesis. It's getting there. Alright, we got two wins on the board already, which is about the most I was hoping to get. So anything from here is gravy. So let's go to round 4. We're on the play for round 4, and our hand doesn't really do a great deal. Our curve is a bit too top heavy with this. I think we're going to mulligan. Turn 3 Elder Dragon War. Not great, but I think it'll do. I think we'll pitch the dragon. We'll save this Shatterskull Smashing so it can be pitched to the cave-in or be a land if we need it to be. Hopefully our opponent's playing lots of mana dogs. That's all we want to play against. Misty Rainforest. Are we getting blue land or are we getting a green land? We're getting a blue-black land, so probably looking towards some sort of doomsday, judging by Start Ritual. Alright, how are we supposed to beat this? I guess we play... If we draw a Blood Moon, that might be able to stop our opponent from comboing. But this is going to be a bit of a tricky one. Alright, let's have a look at the 48 cards in exile. Tamiyo, Psychic Frog. So it's kind of the stock tempo doomsday, as people call it. Because you run a bunch of tempo cards like Psychic Frog and Tamiyo that can just win the game on their own anyway. And obviously it's got days. Okay, deck. Destroy target land. Alright, we'll try it. This might be able to disrupt our opponent's ability to actually win the game. Alright, a daze. The daze might mean that they're a turn slower. So we'll see. Street Wraith, sure. Another Street Wraith. Island. A Ponder. So they're going to be able to see the last 2 cards and put one of them into their hand. Do they have the ability to combo this turn? They don't. So another Sundering Eruption might be enough here. Or a Blood Moon. Or we could draw nothing. So this card doesn't do anything to help us out here. I think we'll just scoop it up. Our opponent should be able to win from here. I'm not going to play a card. I just want to see if they can win from here, just to make sure. Because whatever we do here doesn't matter. They should have another source. Because we've already seen the Underground Sea they bounced earlier. And there is the Merfolk, sure. Okay. So Pyroblasts and Red Blasts are fine here. The Baubles are fine here. These other cards don't really do anything. Blasphemous Act, sorry, probably not having that one anymore. Boarding out every round, but maybe we'll play against a deck with lots and lots and lots of creatures. The Wrathful Red Dragon is probably a little bit not good enough. I like the direct damage of the Fiery Confluence here, actually. I think I like that more than the Elder Dragon. And then we got to find 3 more cuts to fit these bits and pieces in. Let's move these lands out of the way. So, I do like Blood Moon still. I think we need to keep our creature sweet so we can actually win the game. Maybe we're getting rid of just some more for like 4-drops. So get rid of something like this, because the 4-drop we're trying to cast is likely to be the Fiery Confluence. Because if we just dome our opponent for 6, that might stop them from being able to cycle with Street Wraiths and all that sort of jazz. But yeah, our opponent is a hyper streamlined combo deck. And we're kind of doing something a little bit dirtier. Turn 1 Vexing Bauble, turn 2 Blood Moon is probably okay here. So in that last game we did see how Sundering Eruption is better than a regular land sometimes, because it does, aside from imprinting in Chrome Mox, it gives you some weird scenarios where maybe you can get out of jail with it. Obviously we didn't this time around, but you can certainly see how it'd be useful in this matchup. Right, so we're in with the Bauble, so our opponent can't Force of Will our Blood Moon next turn. A Street Wraith. Yep, you get that life total lower, opponent. That'll help us out down the line. We get Thought Seized here. Alright, have a look at our Chrome Mox that you probably take here. Unless you want to take the Blood Moon. They are seeing the spice though. Right, I took the Blood Moon. Reasonable. Screaming Nemesis. Right, let's oh, we can't even do our own Chrome Mox, can we? Whoops. Oh no, we've absolutely punted this game, haven't we? Whoops indeed. Oh no. What am I doing? Too lost in the sauce here. Yeah, we just played this game horribly and deserved to lose. My bad. Alright, we might still be able to pull this one out. We'll see. They can pitch their entire hand to survive the Screaming Nemesis. But they can pitch it in stages and make us make decisions. So now we can put 3 more damage on this, and our opponent has to discard 3 more cards. But that does leave them with a massive frog. I think that's worth doing. If we draw something like a Pyroblast, we're just absolutely quids in there. I wasn't expecting to cast Mind Twist for 2 and a red, but here we are. Alright, they're going for it. Okay, so now the downside is they have a 6/7 frog. So that's going to beat us in 2 turns if they discard now. Which I think they should. Yep, our opponent agrees. They know what they're up to. Pyroblast. They can also make this jump next turn, so we can't block it with any of our creatures. A Cave In. Does that do anything for us here? This is 8 toughness. I don't believe we get where we need to be here. So we have to cycle this. Marauding Raptor is unlikely to do anything here. Let's just show them some of the spice we had available. Cave In, obviously not great with the Vexing Bauble either. Can shoot our opponent for 2 here. And then we lose. Yeah, well, obviously we made a misplay with our Vexing Bauble there. Does that make enough of a difference, or is Psychic Frog just good enough to beat us there anyway? Yeah. But if we would have been able to get this in front for a turn and attacking, then our opponent's going to be on slightly less life. Maybe we can do some different lines and like put the damage on them. Yeah, tough. Our deck is obviously a bit of a pile, and it doesn't help if I play it like a donkey. Let's go to the final round. We are 2-2, so there is a positive record on the line, which is basically a trophy for a deck like this. So let's see if we can do it. I don't think there's enough land in our deck, to be honest with you. I think we have to mulligan this. Okay. I'll keep this. Put back this 5-drop. I think the 5-drop should just be land in this deck. Let's go for turn 1 Blood Moon. See if our opponent just scoops it up. It can happen sometimes. Alright, we're getting a Force of Will. Pitching a Psychic Frog. Okay. A Basic Island. They already had the Basic Island. Well, they didn't want the first one to resolve, so let's see how they feel about the second one. A Daze. See if we can get in with this. Right, there's a Brainstorm in response. I have to imagine this is good if our opponent fought over it twice. We're going to need some more mana before we can play our Ill-Tempered Loner. Brainstorm, where they're only seeing 2 new cards. So we're looking at some kind of multi... Okay, they're not even playing any lands. Maybe they're in as a Saga deck. But we do need to draw a win condition that we can actually cast. Or lands. So we need to draw like the little raptor is fine here, or any land. But we need to draw land into land. Swamp cycling. Okay, so this Blood Moon isn't actually very good. Because blue-black decks get to do it all. Reanimating the Troll. That's pretty good. It kills us in just over 2 turns. And we just don't have anything to do here. Metamorphosis Fanatic. This is a new one. So they can miracle this in and they kill us next turn. Do we have any out to this? I don't think we do. Okay. So if you're not familiar with that one, it's a 6-mana guy that reanimates a creature from your graveyard when it enters, but it has Miracle for 1 and a black. So I guess we're getting rid of our top end, as expected, and probably want some Reanimation, Hate, and Pyroblast here. I don't think we can board in these baubles. Maybe the Ill-Tempered Loner is just a bit too much. Maybe try something like this. We're not asking a lot here, but 4 Pyroblast can do some work. Turn 2 Boros Reckoner with a Cave-in we can't cast, but it does have the Faerie Macabre. And honestly, at this point, I'm just happy to see hands that can play lands out and not just be stuck without enough mana. There's definitely some deck building issues with our list today. Right, I think we're just going to play Mountain, 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 then the Reckoner. Right, just cycling the Troll of Khazad-dûm. Psychic Frog is pretty good. Red Elemental Blast. I will destroy the Psychic Frog, or attempt to at least, around a daze. Okay. So we can play the Reckoner next turn around a daze. We're getting Thoughtseize here. I guess we let them take the Faerie Macabre. Doesn't feel great. They took our threat. So they could just play out a Psychic Frog here and leave us somewhat cold. There it is. Okay. Maybe we'll draw a second blast. I guess we'll play out this Ancient Tomb and pass. We are going to lose this one, I reckon. Just an unanswered Psychic Frog is just too hard for us to beat. We probably need like 8. Do we care about any of these cards? Not really. Let's just get rid of their 2 creatures to reanimate here. The rest of the cards in our hand are bad. There is a Brainstorm. There's a Wastelands. They can take out our tomb if they want to. Sure. A creature. That's something. We're at least on board. Our opponent's life total is, you know, not the highest. It shouldn't really matter in the face of a Psychic Frog, but we have something. Alright, so they're getting a 2-mana 4/4 lifelinker. If they've got any cards to discard from the Frog, then they can just get something now. Oh, so yeah, so this has lifelink itself, and it brings back a creature and gives it lifelink. But they don't have any creatures. But it's still a 2-mana 4/4 lifelink, which is a fine rate. I'm unsure how good this card is going to be. Like, obviously, the ceiling of this card is ridiculously high. The floor is ridiculously low. And the only way you're going to work out what the average is like is by playing it a bunch. So that's what we're going to have to see here. Certainly feels better than what we're doing. But I imagine a lot does, right? Alright, we got nothing going on here. Yeah, I think we can just call it here. So we've got absolutely crushed in the back end of this league by a couple of blue-black decks. One of them being a Doomsday, one of them being just the Reanimator. But we managed to put 2 wins on the board, which I thought was probably like the maximum we were expecting to get, so I can't be too upset with that. So let's talk about this list. Obviously what we're playing today is a bit of a meme list rather than like a competitive legacy thing. And we could improve this deck immediately by playing some Wrathful Red Dragon and turning these into some lands. Maybe a couple of City of Traitors is an option, but I think we just need at least 2 more lands in this deck. We didn't feel like we had enough. The Blasphemous Act I don't think is worth it either, so you could turn this into something good. Instead of running Ill-Tempered Loner, you could run the Doctor Who card, Donna Noble, which is Soul Bond, and when it gives you the, whenever they're dealt damage, that you get to ping on both of them. So you could run that, but I think the Ill-Tempered Loner is actually better if that's the effect you want. But maybe we don't need this many of that effect. Our deck's obviously going to be very polarizing. We're either going to have a deck playing against where Cave-in is good and that sort of thing, and then we're just going to absolutely ruin them with like Elder Dragon War and Cave-in like we did with the Merfolk, or we're going to go play against decks where they don't do anything. And damage-based removal at the moment is decidedly poor because of Psychic Frog, because you can't kill it with damage removal because they'll just discard enough cards. So like we domed it for 6 in one turn, and that wasn't enough. So that's definitely a problem. You could just run another 4 Red Blast in the sideboard and just have 8 and just really go ham. And that might help a little bit. But the truth of the matter is, this deck was never going to be great. And obviously we showcased that it wasn't. Boros Reckoner not being something you can play off of the Ancient Tomb is a little bit awkward sometimes. But I think having the Moon and the Nemesis is a decent enough chunk of stuff here that you can play off of the Ancient Tomb starts, and obviously we can go into the Loners as well, or the Elder Dragon War. But we're essentially doing like Mono-red Stompy stuff, except instead of running a bunch of good 3-drops, we're running some questionable 3-drops. and some 4-drops. And the difference between 3-drop and 4-drop in your Ancient Tomb, Simian Spirit Guide, Chrome Mox style deck is that you could be waiting an entire another turn to get on the board, and this is a sort of deck that needs to get something on the board and needs to start doing stuff with it immediately. And we just don't have the high impact plays like that apart from the Blood Moon. So obviously we went in not expecting this deck to do very much, but it was fun. I enjoyed doing some Screaming Nemesis stuff. We put wins on the board, which is more than I can say for a league that we did earlier in the week. So there is that. In terms of how the new card felt, because that's what we're most interested in here, the rate on this is pretty good. A 3-mana 3/3 haste with additional text is, you know, pretty good. This might find a place somewhere, especially if people are going to be playing like a bunch of putting lifelink counters on type creatures. This can make that a little bit less worrisome. So that's certainly an option. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of these being played. I don't think it's great, but with Lightning Bolt being an all-time low in the format right now, it's got a little bit of juice to it. Certainly not one of the more competitive cards from the new set. There's certainly a few, like the Metamorphosis Fanatic that we just played against, and a few others I think are going to be the actual ones that we're going to see a lot of in Constructed. But I wouldn't be completely shocked to see this in somebody's deck, because the rate on it is fine for what it is, and it does have an interesting ability as well. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this one, and it's a little bit of a fun one. Next week we'll be delving into some more of the new Duskmourn cards and seeing how the Legacy format is changing and embracing these new cards. I don't think it's going to completely shake up Legacy. I think it's most likely to empower a few existing archetypes, but we'll see what we can shake loose and hopefully bring you some more wonderful Legacy entertainment. So please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of it. It also helps the channel out and doesn't cost you anything. And if you want to support the channel and watch my videos early, you can always become a YouTube member for just £1 a month. So not very much at all, and you get to watch my videos early and drop a little support my way, and I appreciate that. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.